my fellow weirdos, my name is Maria Williams. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be doing the dilemmas of a book nerd tag because I am a book nerd. Hey guys, as I said, for today's video, we're going to be doing the dilemmas of a book nerd tag, which was originally created by Lindsey's Little Library. I will leave the original tag down below, although I discovered it on Michael Nipp's page, and I'll put his video down below as well. This tag is called the Dilemmas of a Book Nerd tag, and I was really attracted to this one because it's real, guys. The dilemmas are real. So I wasn't tagged to do this. I just decided to do it. Anybody who wants to do it and join in, if you feel like these dilemmas are something that you've personally experienced, then go for it, guys. It's a fun tag. Let's get involved. But let's jump into it. Okay, so dilemma number 1, book storage. How do you store and organize your books? So I am going to be one of those people who really irritates those out there with OCD. I do not put my alphabetically. I don't put them by subject. I don't even put the same book of series together necessarily. What I do is by color. So I have custom built shelves. On one side, we have vintage books. On the other side, modern books. And then the shelves are done by colour. And then I also have a Harry Potter shelf, which is all my Harry Potter books together. But yeah, that's how I kind of do it. I know that that'll send people with OCD up the wall, but I just think it looks pretty with all of the colours. And, you know, I don't have so many books that I can't find what I'm looking for amongst them. Yeah, but when I run out of shelf space, I have to have a little bit of a purge. And we all know how heartbreaking that is, guys. But we've only got so much storage space, right? Dilemma 2, tracking. How do you keep track of what you have read and what books you own? I don't. I've got a pretty decent memory for the stories I've read. I've never had the experience of buying a book and getting a few pages in and going, hey, have I read this before? I just know what I've already read and I know what I already own. And I'm all right with buying duplicates in certain circumstances. If it's a book that I particularly like, or I have a collection of vintage orange penguins. I'll put a little pic up here of the vintage side of my bookshelves for you guys. I collect vintage books, so I don't mind if I buy a classic Dickens and I already had that Dickens because I'm buying it partly because of how beautiful it is and because I love vintage books. So, but no, on the most part, I just sort of know. Not very helpful, I know, but that's it. Okay, dilemma 3, borrow. Do you lend books out? Yes, but I'm quite particular. I don't like wrinkled spines. And if I have wrinkled spines on any of my books, I bought them that way. And I think that can be part of the charm, if particularly with like pulpy horror books, if they've got the well-worn sides, that can be working quite well. But I personally, if I've bought a new book, like to keep it quite pristine. So I've been told by people that they don't like to borrow books from me because they feel this enormous pressure to keep it pristine and they're terrified of it getting marked or dog-eared. My sister, being the main person's always telling me that she'd just rather buy her own than have me lend it to her because she's so afraid. She's like reading it and like just barely opening it to try to keep the spine safe. But yeah, I do lend frequently, especially if I read a book and I think, oh my god, like somebody I know would love that. I'm always keen to like spread the love of books, which is why I'm on Bookstagram and why I'm on Booktube. So yeah, if I read something and I'm like, okay, X, Y, and Z, I would absolutely love that. I want to pass it on. I want to spread the love. People who keep books that are lent to them are monsters. People who dog-ear and ruin books that are lent to them, double monsters. I'm just saying. There's a special place in hell. Dilemma 4, buying. How do you buy or acquire your books? My book collection is mostly second-hand, I have to say. I love reading. But I don't tend to necessarily be attracted to the most recent releases, and I do buy new releases. But on the most part, I end up going for older books, which means that secondhand is the perfect way to buy it. Plus you get these cool decommissioned covers that you can't get anymore. And I really love the idea of recycling as well, of someone having loved a book, of it being passed on for someone else to love, and on and on and on. So I definitely encourage people to buy secondhand where they can, to give their books to thrift stores and secondhand bookshops when they're done with them, so that we can just pass on these wonderful worlds. Another place I would get them would be from companies approaching me, or from book boxes and approaching me and them sending me the books. I would get quite a lot of new releases that way. And then if I'm going to buy a new book, I probably use Amazon for it, because it's just so easy to like click, one click, it's at your doorstep the next day. Convenience, man. It's just, internet shopping is just so easy. Dilemma 5 comments. How do you respond to the "how do you read so much" comment or similar comments? I get asked that all the time. It's really weird. It must be like what it's like to be a really tall person and have people be like, "You're really tall, aren't you?" Yeah, I am. I get asked all the time, like, "You read a lot. Why do you read so much? How do you read so much?" And I don't know. I don't actually think I read a lot. There are people on here on Bookstagram who are reading like 20, 30 books a month. They are amazing. Like, go them. I just try to fit in reading when I get the opportunity, and that could be in my lunch break in work. It could be if I'm traveling somewhere by train. It can be mostly in bed at night. I just sort of fit it in wherever I can, which means that it can vary from month to month depending on what's going on in my life. And try not to feel guilty if I don't read as much as I would like to, because I would always like to read more, but you've only got so many hours in the day and you've got a lot of commitments, you know, family, work, etc. But even a chapter a day, it adds up. It really does. So if reading is something that you want to get back into, I would encourage you to try. Even short stories are a great way to get into reading again, because you can start and conclude something very quickly in one day, even in one session, and it kind of gets you that love of storytelling back again. But yeah, just whenever I can, basically. Next book, how do you pick your next read? I am definitely a mood reader. I'm affected by everything from the seasons to what I've seen on TV, how I'm feeling that day. All the books I read are pretty dark, so they don't vary that much. In terms, and I'm not going to be reading like a really happy, like romantic-y type book, because that's not the ones that I tend to gravitate towards. Although saying that, I do try to read outside my wheelhouse whenever I get the opportunity, because I think it's important for people to try to, you know, try new things. But mostly because my books are all quite dark, I know I'm not going to be getting something particularly happy. So yeah, it's just by mood. It's what I feel like, you know. I don't try to read what everyone else is reading when they're reading it. I probably should, because people are going to be searching for particular books, you know, when it's just been released. But I read for pleasure. I read for fun. So I'll read whenever I want to read it. Sue me. Dilemma 7, travel. How do you pick what books you bring on vacation with you? Well, that depends very much on multiple factors. How long is the vacation in question? If it's a big holiday, I have a tendency to pick up books, classics, that I have always wanted to read but never got around to. So I find myself around a pool reading Catch-22 or For Whom the Bells Toll, or some really heavy book, crying to myself because I've got to the sad bit. I think that when you are in a place where you've got the opportunity to just relax and just read, it's a great chance to read those books that you've always wanted to. So I always tend to gravitate towards classics. But yeah, again, it's just going to be like how I feel, like what I feel like. And if the holiday's a shorter one, I'll pick a shorter book. If it's a longer one, I'll pick a longer book, or I'll bring multiple books. I do read Kindle books, so I do tend to have books on my mobile phone. So if I read what I already have, then I can always pick up my phone and do it that way. Kindle's a great way for people to bring loads of books on holiday if you're a really quick reader. I'm not overly quick reader, so I tend to do okay by just bringing a couple. Dilemma 8, annotate. Do you write or highlight or mark up your books in any way? No! No! Do not write on my books, and I Do not mark my books. No. I get really upset when I see people dog-earing pages or like writing on a book. It actually upsets me. It upsets me. But I'm telling my daughter all the time, she'll accidentally rip it or she'll go to write on a book with a pen and I'm like, no, books must be treated with respect. Don't damage the book. They're precious. Yeah, I'm a bit weird about it. But I see lots of people using those little sticky tabbies, which obviously wouldn't harm the book. So I suppose if I was going to annotate, I would do that. But I don't really tend to do that. I'm reading the book because I want to read the book, because I want to like immerse myself in that world. I don't want to take myself out of it by noting a cool quote or whatever, or, you know, I just rather read it, be absorbed by it, and then tell you guys all about it. So I don't tend to annotate. Dilemma 9, new or backlist. Which do you prefer, new releases or backlist books? Backlist books probably, like I said. I tend to read older books. But I've got some new releases on my radar. I did a video there recently about the books being released in 2020 that I'm interested in. There's a bunch coming out this year. Some really great horror books on the horizon, which I am like, boom, buying those. So I will be buying more new releases this year, but I tend to just sort of gravitate, you know, there's a book on my list that's been there for a while and I really want to read it. I'm just going to read it, you know. The new book can wait. Dilemma 10, sequels. Do you read books as they are released or wait for an entire series to be published before reading one book? I would do it as it's released. I don't read a huge amount of sequels or series. Harry Potter, I was basically the same age as Harry Potter when it started. You know, I was like 12 or 11 or whatever, and I read the books as they were released. With the Winter Night trilogy, I bought the books as they were being released because I loved those series so much. I was desperate to know what happened next. There was no way I could have waited until the end. No way. I needed to know. And then as soon as you finish that book, you're like, I need to know what happens next. So yeah, I'm just going to read it as it comes out. I don't have the patience. I need to know, and I need to know now, guys. So yeah, that's it. That is the dilemmas of a book nerd tag. Okay, so I am going to tag Bookish Dweeb. I am going to tag Paperback Dreams. And I am going to tag Sadie Joyful. There's my 3 tags. No pressure, guys. If you want to do it, it's a lot of fun. The dilemmas are one that you will find familiar. And as I said, you don't have to wait to be tagged, guys. Go ahead. Follow away. It's fun. But subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment, leave a like, connect with me here on other platforms, whatever. I want to get to know you people. Come on now. Let's be friends. That was creepy. Okay, bye.